terms of Altenew, we're a paper crafting products company focused on helping individuals, crafters, express their creativity. So what we do is we design various products, stamps, inks, dyes, embossing folders, various art supplies, and help people express themselves. When we were kind of in the beginning stages, it was kind of this name. She was kind of doing the fulfillment that first year on her own in our basement. And then we kind of, my aunt, my cousin kind of helped us out with fulfillment in our basement as kind of, we started scales.
Yeah, venture hustles, life is really what you make it. Building up your brand is whatever you create it. Really ain't no limit. You just gotta love it. Working day and night, it's all about the venture hustle. Hey, venture hustles. Time to take it to the next level. Let's go.
Well, welcome back to the Venture Hustles podcast. This is Saj. I'm one of the co-hosts of the show, and I've got...
my name is Jack. I'm the other co-host. We have a special guest today.
We do. We have a very special guest today. We've been trying to get him on our podcast for a little bit. This will be a good one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So we've got Nabil Rab. He's the CEO of Altenew. And it's an e-commerce company and a brand that specializes in in a very unique niche area. And I think Nabil would be able to explain a lot more about these custom crafts business.
Sure.
So welcome. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks. Good to meet you, Saj, Jack. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely.
I guess in terms of Altenew, we're a paper crafting products company focused on helping individuals, crafters, express their creativity. So what we do is we design various products, stamps, inks, dyes, embossing folders, various art supplies, and help people express themselves. So they're making different projects. Mainly we started out making, let's say, handmade cards, scrapbook layouts, journaling. People are doing, now we've kind of expanded into various categories, which we'll talk about as we kind of move on. But our goal is to kind of provide inspiration. So we have 20 plus members on our design team who are making projects on a daily basis.
Wow.
Across various social media channels, blogs, obviously Instagram, YouTube.
TikTok, I'd imagine now.
Bit of TikTok. That's something we need to get a bit stronger on. But yeah, we started off originally Tasneem Ahmed and Jen Raza actually founded the company in 2014.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then I provided the initial capital to kind of launch it. Tasneem's my wife.
Yeah.
And then I was, working part-time. I was working on my own business, healthcare technology. So I used to kind of help hospitals implement electronic medical record systems.
Oh, wow.
But that's a side story. We're kind of talking about Altenew.
Quite the pivot.
Yeah.
We got to touch on some of these things.
So, so in 2016, I went full-time. We're based in Syracuse, New York. Started off really, one person who's actually kind of fulfilling, which was Tasneem. And then we kind of added people slowly. And now we're about a team of 43 people.
Nice.
Spread across the United States and different parts of the world. We can kind of touch on that as well.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, you just had a company retreat, right?
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
In Syracuse?
In Syracuse, yeah.
How'd that go?
It was good. It's our, we try to do it annually, where we kind of bring in our team members, especially our leadership team members who are kind of based typically stateside. We have someone out in California, one person in Texas, one person in Massachusetts, one person in the UK. We kind of get together. We did this. We started this. I think you might have been in the first one a long time ago.
Was I?
Saj, I think you might have.
Which one? Which one was it?
I might have been. It was in the Hamptons.
Okay, yeah.
That was like maybe 2015. I want to say.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It was fun. It was fun.
Now, has it progressed? Was it more fun or just became more boring?
I want to say you probably want to say the retreat term is used loosely.
Yeah.
It's definitely more business than retreat, but I think we're going to get to a point where we can make it a little bit more fun, more traditional. We have presentations, so we have half our team who are virtual, right? So based in different parts of the world, in the Philippines, in the UK, in Greece, in Chile,
Oh, nice.
in Pakistan. In Canada. So they kind of joined virtually. And then our in-person team, our leadership team, and myself, we were in Syracuse in our warehouse fulfillment center team. We were there. We had a morning of different activities, we were kind of brainstorming, kind of splitting up into groups. Then we had actually a video team kind of come in and kind of interview some of our leadership team members. And then beyond that, I guess Friday was kind of a fun day of hanging out,
just chilling.
And then Saturday,
it was pretty fascinating. The reason why, because I've seen some of this stuff that they've been putting out, and they did they got like a art gallery, and they're doing a lot of the
correct,
art, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of
we had, so basically on Saturday, we had a meet and greet where crafters can kind of meet the leadership team of Altenew. As you mentioned, it's a niche space, paper crafting space. So it was neat. We had people coming in. We had someone coming from California.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
To kind of just say what's up, just to kind of hang out with the team and exchange ideas, craft, make several projects with of our unreleased products.
So now let's pause for a second, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's the idea behind doing a retreat like this? Where I understand from the employee's perspective, like it's like team building, morale. Ignore that for a second, but more of like when you're doing these live demos with the customers and your clients, and you're meeting the ideal demographic, what's the idea behind this? Because there's no way, I could be wrong, maybe it's not about like generating more revenue directly. It's not like you're selling a ton on the spot, right?
Yeah, we're not selling anything on the spot.
Okay.
So people actually we're just giving away free product at our events.
So what's the
so
idea?
The idea, even at the retreat itself, we actually had a couple of focus groups. We had two different focus groups. We had a focus group run by a product development team.
Okay.
A focus group run by our marketing team.
Okay.
Beyond that, concurrently, we had hired a video production team on the side who were recording customer testimonials.
Okay.
So this is happening all throughout. It actually serves for us outside of the focus groups. Obvious benefit: we're getting real-time feedback on our direction, what we're thinking, some of the new products that we're launching.
Yeah.
Even on our website, what's working, what's not.
So it's like actual, tangible,
real
feedback.
customers
Feedback.
talking.
That's cool.
Real person, not virtual, in person, and that's nothing's held back. Beyond that, we also use some of that B-roll of that event throughout the year. We do have a video production team in-house who are also kind of a video editing team, I would say.
Okay.
Who are kind of coming up with different B-roll, different videos, tips and tricks, inspirational, different branding related. Yeah. And because of COVID, as I mentioned, I kind of started off with, we did this annually in person. Last year, it was done virtually. And I think the last before that was in person, like 2020, I think earlier. So we hadn't met together in a while. Yeah. As a unit. So obviously team building is like the one reason we actually started the whole retreat, right? So when you're a team of people who are spread out across the country, and for our matter, for across the world, it's important to kind of meet.
So let's give it some context, right? Yep. You currently have your main HQ, the warehouse is in Syracuse, New York.
That's right.
How many people in the
So
warehouse?
in Syracuse, we're about 12 deep, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That come in full time every day.
Yeah, no, I would say 8 in the full time realm, and then you have a bunch of part timers who come in through the weekends or the summer.
And the bulk of it is just handling fulfillment, right?
Yeah. So basically, Syracuse is where we do our fulfillment. So anything that we're sending out across the country or the world goes through Syracuse. Okay. So we have manufacturing partners in the United States, in China, and India. Yeah. But our IP is all happening in-house. Okay. So meaning our product development team is about 5-6 people. We're designing products in-house and then subcontracting the manufacturing of the various products that we have.
Got it. No, super cool. So is there any particular reason, and again, we'll kind of touch on this a little bit. Remember when we were doing our restructuring a little bit and we were exploring other alternate options with the hiring process and the remote people. I was definitely talking to Nabil through a lot of that advice, and because he's done so much of that and very successfully, if I have to say. So I guess obviously, ignoring the obvious matter, like any particular reason why you wouldn't kind of like, I guess, enhance the in-house team more, like with some of the more creative side of things?
Yeah, so let's talk about the team for a second. So we have a team of 40, right? So a product development team is about 5 people. Okay. Our graphic design team, which kind of rolls up to marketing, is about 5 people. Okay. Then within marketing, you have also SEM, PPC. Okay. Right. Search engine marketing, paid per click type marketing. And there are about 5 people in there as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. And then the last part of, so you have graphic design, SEM, and then you have digital marketing. That's kind of reports straight to marketing. So kind of on social media management, newsletters. So that's the marketing team.
Yep.
Operations handles customer service, vendor relationships, general relationships with different partners that we might have. Okay. And then we have a creative team. A creative team that's kind of just doing video editing, for example, public relations, our Facebook Lives, which is kind of separate from, and like workshops that we do.
Yep.
Okay. Which isn't just straight marketing. Let's say.
Correct.
Got it.
So it kind of in the face. You'll see we do Facebook Lives probably 4 or 5 times a week. Right.
Okay.
And that's staffed by that creative team.
Okay.
And then you have our warehouse team. Right.
Got
So
it.
a warehouse team is typically warehouse manager, warehouse team leads, warehouse associates who are in-house in Syracuse.
Okay.
Right.
Awesome. Wow, I appreciate the breakdown. Did you have another question? Or?
No.
No.
Go ahead.
I think like I know we kind of just went right into the meat and the details right there, but I would like to talk a little bit more about like the inspiration behind Altenew, why this sort of niche products. What can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. So, I mean, the origin story of Altenew, I can do an origin story of myself. So I think that's come somewhat different stories.
Yeah,
different stories. Origin story for myself, I did my MBA at NYU 2011, undergrad Johns Hopkins University in behavioral biology 2005. I worked in healthcare technology for about 10 years.
What'd you do with that?
I implemented electronic medical record systems.
Okay.
Epic is one of the software vendors that are out there.
Okay.
I did that as a consultant for large consulting firms.
Got it.
I did that in-house for hospitals.
Okay.
And then I did it for small niche consulting firms. And then at the end, before I transitioned to e-commerce, I did it through my own consulting firm.
Got it.
Nabil Rab Business Consulting. It wasn't very creative.
NARBC.
You know about NARBC. We can touch on that.
Yeah.
So beyond that, I grew up in Kuwait. My first 7 years of my life, 2 years in Bangladesh, where my parents are originally from and where I was actually born. Spent a few years in Tennessee and then upstate New York. And then I kind of discussed in terms of employment in
Tennessee?
Tennessee. When we first came, we came to Oak Ridge National Lab was where my mom got a job.
Okay.
And that's how we came to the States.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So that's just my background, and we can kind of delve into a bit of details around that. In 2016 is when I went full-time on Altenew.
In Altenew, okay.
Altenew launched in 2014.
Okay.
By Jen Raza and Tasim Ahmed, who are actually just crafters in this niche space. So they used to make handmade cards, enter different competitions that are in that space.
Okay.
And obviously with the advent of the internet, it's easy for people who have this interest of making, let's say, handmade projects to connect. And they were in that space, kind of working with influencers in different competitions, challenges. And Tasim was like, hey, I can bring some of this into my own space, meaning what can I use my own experience to kind of put designs that are not already there.
Okay.
So Altenew actually starts, alt is old in German, new is new.
Right.
And our idea and how it started was kind of bringing classical designs into contemporary form.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So that was the origin of the company.
Right. A mission statement, if you will.
In a sense, we've kind of developed that further as we've grown through the years. And then the first launch that they had was of stamps.
Okay.
Right? Of stamps. So when I talk about stamps, you probably might be familiar with wooden stamps that you kind of stamp onto a card.
Okay.
With ink.
Right.
These are what we launched with was clear stamps. And it wasn't something that we manufactured or invented. That was already in this space.
Right.
But obviously our designs are our designs.
New. Right.
So our people, crafters or individuals who want to use these designs that's already kind of pre-made, they'll take that and put it into a card and then express their own color variation, configuration of how they put that on in a card.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So the first day, I think I remember when they had launched, it was, like 8 products sold out within half a day, right? So
Wow.
like, we obviously didn't anticipate that demand. And some of that was a result of some of the influencers that Tasneem and Jen already had relationships with.
Okay.
Right? So that was one product category. And then slowly, we would kind of grew, a couple of product categories. We did stamps and coordinating dies. Basically, there are metal tools that you can cut out those images rather than stamping them.
Got it.
Kind of went into stenciling, and then went into different coloring mediums, so alcohol markers, watercoloring pencils, watercoloring pans, and right now we have about maybe 27 different categories of products.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're listening to this, you can go on their site, and
Absolutely.
you guys have a lot on there.
We
I mean,
do, we do.
there's a lot. It's a good looking site. It works
Appreciate
well,
you.
and there's a lot to kind of explore there. You got like the courses and stuff too, and you can learn and stuff.
That's
It's
all
awesome.
new too, right? Like the courses and
It's actually not. No,
Is it not?
no.
Okay.
Altenew Academy, our operations director, Nicole Picadora.
Okay.
When we were kind of in the beginning stages, it was kind of Tasneem. Fulfillment. She was kind of doing the fulfillment that first year on her own in our basement, and then we kind of my aunt, my cousin, kind of helped us out with fulfillment in our basement as kind of we started scaled.
So that's exactly the story. Like in a nutshell, this is like the perfect it's crazy because like his wife came up with the idea, or just like came up with like the inspiration behind it, and then Nabil with his years of experience and obviously his capital and everything like just kind of went all in. This literally started in the basement in the garage,
Literally,
and then it blew
just
up.
scaled.
And then
Wow,
obviously you
that's-
can't run a company this size out of your basement or garage anymore. Then you had to. Did you ever get an office or a location in Long Island?
We did not.
So you just went straight from the basement to the warehouse?
So it was funny because as we were going to transition to Syracuse back in 2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tasneem was actually going to start she did start medical school over there, and that's why we kind of transitioned to Syracuse. During those months of 2016, it was getting kind of crazy at home because the business was kind of scaling at that point, and we were getting pallets kind of delivered to our house.
To your house,
right,
yeah.
right.
Put them in the garage or the backyard.
Yeah,
or
and
something.
the backyard was getting funny, right? Because
And
there was
these
pallets
are
were just piling up.
massive pallets, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're talking about like the size of this table.
Oh yeah, just standard pallet 4x4.
Yeah.
Up 5 feet, 6 feet, and then we just kept on piling up, and we were like, we didn't have, lift. We used lift gates basically. We obviously didn't have a dock, at our house, but it was definitely getting cramped. Where we kind of at one point we filled up the basement, and we were kind of going into our living room upstars, and we were just like, all right, what's going to happen?
We need to do something about this
It
here.
was funny when we were transitioning to Syracuse, we were like trying to find a house, and we're thinking, because I guess we were still in that mindset, like, we can still run this in our house,
Yeah.
right? We got a house that has a big basement,
Yeah.
and we look at different houses, and eventually nothing panned out, which was fortunate because it didn't make sense in a house. So we actually leased out a warehouse.
Yeah.
In our initial space, which is like a 5,000 square foot place.
Wow, that's not small.
Yeah, I mean, you know
Wow.
what?
Massive.
It was
Yeah.
funny. It was funny because we were almost going to get a 3,000 square foot space.
Okay.
And we were going to be happy with that because that was going to be a big upgrade from the basement. But then 5,000 square, and we're like, you know what? It doesn't make sense. It's going to be way too big, but it wasn't. Eventually, that was not big enough.
Right.
And but it was good for the 2 years that we had it.
So I've seen the OG warehouse, and that was like I don't even remember what year that was. It's
Yeah,
been a while.
2016 to 2018. Yeah.
Okay, so within that period, I've seen that first warehouse they moved into. I mean, now you guys have mega upgraded that warehouse. So
Yeah, I
like
mean,
now,
our current warehouse is about 18,000 square feet. Yeah.
it's
Whoa.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
18K, huh?
Yeah.
And like they've been customizing it, and I mean, it looks really cool. Like I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. I hope hopefully one of these days we'll make it out
we'll,
there.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, Saj will laugh and as I bring this up, but you're in the arts and crafts space, right?
That's right.
Dealing with artists, dealing with people that are super creative.
Sure.
What do you know about, or what are your thoughts on about like NFTs, this whole digital age of same kind of concept here?
We
but
were actually
everything
talking about it. He
is-
was like, "How do I do something with Altenew?"
Yeah,
with
I
NFTs?
haven't been as exposed to NFTs, so we
Okay.
haven't really worked in it. I see it by far. I've talked to Saj about it, but we haven't executed anything on that space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I
mean,
just want
yeah.
to kind of know like your general, I guess, thoughts on it, because like it seems like from what you're saying, your main customer clientele, I mean,
It's
they're
let's talk about
probably
arts, yeah.
involved.
Yeah, so let's talk about the demographic. So our
Yes.
demographic is 98% women.
Okay.
And age range is 50 and up. It's probably like 75%.
Yeah. So this
Oh wow.
Yeah. So the NFT space in realistic is not there in the demographic.
It's the complete opposite.
Yeah,
A complete opposite, bro. It's 98% men and definitely way under 50. And plus, like, it's a very turbulent market right now. It's not a good time. But we did talk about it.
Really?
Yeah. We did talk about it.
Talked.
But I guess you've done your research and you found out.
There could be some. I mean, I can even think of some cool things that like you might be able to leverage.
Yeah, no
for
doubt,
sure.
no doubt.
Did you bring any samples today of anything?
I didn't.
Like,
You know, hopefully we can. We'll put B-roll of ALTERNEW.com during this if you want, or my team can assist with that if needed.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
cool.
especially when we're talking about some of the specifics that you mentioned on the site, because I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it looks great.
I mean, our team. I'm impressed with what our team comes up with. Our internal team, or specifically an editing perspective, because we give them kind of nonsense, and they put together something that looks kind
I
of.
feel like a lot of teams do that. Our team does it's like, hey, like, can we do something like this? It's like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
I see. I've seen some exclusive sneak peek videos of their production team that
right?
the public hasn't seen yet. I think it's definitely some interesting stuff they're working on. But it's cool. I think it's cool.
Yeah. It's funny. Our branding videos probably get the least amount of views, and then our videos that actually get more hits are our tips and tricks.
Okay.
You know, so we do like. And our branding videos take a lot more time to do, you know, as you guys can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, your social media is fire. Like I don't know, just like in terms of presence and engagement, and just like it seems like you have a loyal community, or just like the people, even if it's like the demographics over 50. It's like it's
absolutely
kind of crazy. It's insane.
We're humbled with the support from our fans, and absolutely, no question. You know, it's an awesome community.
Yeah.
I obviously wasn't. I kind of grew into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've, as I kind of mentioned to you, you know, as the years went on, actually year one, we were already we kind of exhibited at the biggest trade show of our space, right? Over in Anaheim. We had a trade show. We didn't even know we had to bring a catalog.
Yeah.
And that night when we were there in Anaheim, we're like, everyone's asking for a catalog. We're like, oh, we didn't know we're supposed to have a catalog.
Oh, no.
So we like designed it and got it printed at FedEx the next day, and we had catalogs. Yeah. So, I mean.
I love that. You know, you go and it's like, we need it now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Get it done.
We got to get something done about this. Yeah, that's cool. When was the first time you found out, like, because you were selling everything online, correct?
We're still selling everything online.
Well, now you're in stores.
Oh, so let's talk about that.
Yeah. So when was the first time that? Because I thought that was a major milestone. I thought.
Sure.
That was cool as hell.
It actually was something that happened organically. So I'm not saying we definitely took steps to accelerate that. No question about it. Well, what I mean by that is, after that launch in April 2014. Wholesale partners, or B2B partners, reached out to us and saying, "Hey,
like what?
Hey,
what are we doing?
Yeah, can we carry your product?" And we're like, "I guess so." And I remember kind of drafting a wholesale agreement contract, just kind of Googling it and saying, "Hey, moving forward." I think it wasn't even there the first deal or the first kind of deal, and then after that, we're like, "All right, moving forward." It was funny. I was looking through my emails for something else the other day, and I saw that email saying, at that point, I was like VP of Business Development, kind of just the name that I gave myself.
My God.
I love that. It's such like a startup, like vibe
and then because I wasn't there, but there was no team. There's no one there. So and I put it, but I signed off as VP of Business Development, and I was like, moving forward, please sign this contract. This is the terms that we have, terms and conditions. But I think some of the neat things, if you're talking about a milestone, was when we went out to the UK the next year in 2015 for a trade show out there. And we're like, it was kind of random. We're like, hey, we just wanted to kind of see it and got an opportunity to kind of see a different country and also show our products and offerings. And then there we picked up a TV channel, which was creating craft.
Oh.
And that was a milestone, right? That was kind of exciting to see.
Was
your
that like
products
QVC?
It's like the QVC of crafts. Of crafts.
Oh,
specific.
wow.
So that's what they do. Art supplies and various products. I mean, it's gone through many different things through the last 7-8 years.
Right.
But at that point, that was the channel, and specifically in the UK, and now they broadcast in the US as well.
Yeah.
There's been consolidation in that market as well. And there's different market factors that's happened in shopping space. But so right now, we're about 80-20. So 80% B2B, 20% direct to consumer.
Okay.
Oh,
right?
wow. Okay.
I would say over the years, that's kind of changed. In the beginning, it was 50-50. When that craft channel came in, it was half our business, right? Because they were picking big orders.
Yeah.
But as the years have gone on and we've gotten stronger, that dynamic has split.
Okay.
You know? And I would say same thing for a different metric, domestic, international, 80-20 as well, right? 80 domestic, 20 international.
I was kind of under the impression that, like, I wouldn't think that the majority of your business would be B2B, you know, which is kind of cool.
So
now,
it's not.
Oh, it's not. Oh,
yeah.
it is. Customers is 80%, B2B
Correct.
is 20.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
It is.
Now,
Yeah.
would we be in a place where, let's say, I would find Altenew products in, like, let's say, a place like Michael's or
So
something like that?
we never closed a deal on Michael's.
Not yet.
So not yet. And actually, we're not pursuing it. Actually.
Okay.
So we've actually I've been to Dallas a couple of times for the Michael's headquarters.
Okay.
To pitch our product, and then it didn't pan out, and some of the terms didn't make sense either for us.
Okay.
Right. In terms of just the deal has to make sense. So I think
Of course.
So was there a deal on the table?
No, nothing ever came, but we never pushed back because we didn't like the terms.
Okay.
So
Okay.
meaning that we were like, oh, this is the terms. I'm not sure if that's going to work. And they didn't really push us either. This was
Well,
like
you're
back
trying
in
to
the
take a
beginning.
bigger cut?
Yeah. So the margins so typical traditional B2B discounts in our space, 50% of MSRP.
Oh, really?
Yep. So then you have in this space, if you're interested, there's distributors.
Right.
And this is kind of across different industries
Any
as well.
kinda, physical
and
products.
distributors typically take another 30%.
Right.
Right. So you have to have strong margin to kind of make that work.
Yeah, otherwise it doesn't make sense.
You're not losing money. You don't want to lose money. So we were of the mindset that it has to make sense profit margin wise to go forward. So we weren't doing a loss leader approach here.
Yeah.
Right.
So we didn't do that. I mean, we tried like Paper Source, and there's other companies that Hobby Lobby, for example. You know how I got the Michael's conversation was back in 2015. I looked up different CEOs of the big box retailers, and I just mailed them a catalog with a letter.
Oh, wow.
And one of the leaders of Michael's gave it to somebody, and that one of their buyers, and they reached out to me, and that's how I got that first call.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So at that point, I was like, I guess I was young, and I was like, oh yeah, I really want, but I was like kind of interested more in the box retailer space.
No, that's amazing.
And that's how that's how we kind of flew down there. We kind of prepped it.
Got that going.
But as we've kind of grown, that has been less interesting.
Right.
And we're trying to just gain more B2C and
Right.
B2B, by the way. I mean, we definitely love to support independent retailers, stores, big box stores, not big box, but small independent stores that have retail presence or online presence for that matter. But we don't work with distributors as a general policy.
So even when you're dealing with these other, like let's say small or big retailers, all of the products that they shelf is all being sent from your Syracuse headquarters?
So anything that goes through Altenew starts at that Syracuse warehouse.
Okay.
Okay.
And then it could go to some brick and mortar stores. It could go to other stores who sell online.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
like a scrapbook.com,
Okay.
Simon Says Stamps. These are kind of bigger stores in our space.
Okay.
And then we have many partners. I mean, on the B2B side, the business is actually split 50-50 domestic international, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes it makes more sense for that customs to be taken up by that B2B customer, and then they sell it to their audience without any kind of
Let
customs.
them take care of everything.
That's correct.
So do you have international customers right now?
Oh yeah,
All over the world?
Yeah. We have about
Like direct to consumer?
so we have both
Okay.
direct to consumer
And then
Okay.
B2B.
and
Internationally.
B2B. Internationally, absolutely. So,
So what would you say your revenue margins are from, like what percentage?
Yeah,
would
so
be international right
so
now?
it's 80-20. 80% domestic, 20% international.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's
So it used
awesome.
to be higher international when that TV channel was a bigger part of our business.
Okay. Why
So-
haven't you pursued that more?
I mean, some things work, some things don't. So I remember that first couple of years, that one client was 50% of what we did.
Okay.
Oh,
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the numbers weren't as big.
Right.
Right.
So that was a big needle mover. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah,
But,
but then over the years, they also got competition in the UK, right, from other partners, other
Okay.
wholesale partners, right. So they're like,
Okay.
hey, we're not as new or innovative, right. And other competitors have come and kind of done some of the similar layers. A lot of the concepts. We're very fortunate that our product development team is. I'm biased, but we think we're the best in the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, we're always kind of leading different trends. A lot of the things that we've introduced in our space you'll see other of our
companies
companies who
replicate.
kind of do
Did it?
similar,
So
and that's fine, and that's fine. That's great. You know, we've got to be more innovative, more
Ahead of the curve.
Yeah, we just got to keep thinking ahead.
I remember having this conversation with you probably a year ago,
Mhm.
or maybe Tasneem, and I think one of you said that some Chinese company that you saw knockoffs or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's
So
when
we have
when you know you made it. Like
No,
when they start.
we have a team member daily who
That's their
daily
job?
that's like 75% of their job.
That's so insane.
Who goes into Alibaba and files. There's like a whole process where you file your copyright.
Oh,
And
like your
Alibaba has-
copyright striking all of these fake.
Right, so they click on that.
Literally,
and then,
so
yeah,
basically,
and then it gets taken down.
so about a year ago or something, like when I was speaking to him or to Tasneem, and it was it was so weird. They saw like copycat products, 1-to-1 of what, literally the same thing, right? Like it was which was
It's
very,
not the same quality because our stamps are manufactured in the United States.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So and that photopolymer is not currently present in China, for example.
Yeah.
So it's like a cheap
Oh, so
knockoff
you
of our
know.
design. And what they do is they use, as I mentioned earlier, there's a project inspiration. So it's our design team members, not product designers, but who use our products to make projects. And they take those examples from our website and push it to put it on their product pages, basically product detail pages.
So how do you combat that? How do you combat
Well,
like
he has
these?
someone working.
That's it.
75%
And that's
to-
effective.
Yeah, so there's been like many different initiatives in this space. Some things with the Chinese government and Alibaba, not directly, but they've actually helped us kind of put up initiatives where we enrolled in it, where it was kind of free that first year, and then they said this is the process that when you identify a certain product that you have IP on or copyright on, you flag it, let us know about it, and if we agree, we'll take it down.
Okay.
So we're constantly doing
As
this.
if they don't agree.
There hasn't been a situation where it's very clear that
Okay.
our website is selling it,
Right.
and it's a
This
copy.
is ours. Okay.
Correct.
That's fair.
And we submit copyright for a lot of our work.
Right.
We have patents on some of our stuff. That's like
Wow.
a new product that we haven't launched yet. But so that some of that we've actually filed in China for that patent.
That's a good place to do. It's a start at least. Yeah.
So just so that manufacturing, typically patents work in a way that it's for that country.
Yeah.
And this is new to me as well, but I kind of learned a little bit more about
it's
it.
not
So
global.
yeah, so then you can file for something that's like a global type patent, where it's not really. It just gives you more time. So it kind of prevents someone if you want to fight someone else making it, you can serve it. Say, hey, we've already filed for this tool, for example, and you need to wait on it. I don't remember the term, but if you guys are interested, we can kind of add notes to that later on.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, there's also a time limit to like the patents and like just
Correct.
the
Yeah.
structures.
Wow.
Do you before I dive into another question, I feel like I've been like holding you back.
No, you're good. No, you're
You
good. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I guess kind of pausing back to like one thing when you mentioned that when you first started Altenew, right? When you came in and you put in initial capital, how much capital?
Oh, I think it was 5,000.
Really?
Yeah.
It's so insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, as we talked about, obviously we've grown over the years. We're not at the 8-figure mark, but we're getting close.
Okay.
God willing, we'll get there. And there's up year, down years, and years that work out.
Yeah.
This year's been more challenging. I think we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Specifically, I think we had since we were structured as an online company, we actually had a COVID bump, right? So it actually was stronger because we already. There's not a pivot.
dealing.
It's not a pivot. This is
You
what
didn't-
we do.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
You didn't have to digitalize anything.
Yeah.
You're
So
already in that space.
So we're adjusting to that. Our team's adjusting, trying to get smarter. We release maybe 50 products a month, right? So
What do you mean?
50 products. So we
You
release
release 50 new products.
new products a month. Yeah.
Wow. That's,
Yeah. So sometimes that
kinda
gets
crazy.
Yeah. Of like different designs of different categories. So for instance,
Oh.
the stamp, we'll release maybe 10, and then
Okay.
we'll have 10 embossing folders. We'll have 8 dies,
That's
5
pro-
stencils.
I would imagine that's pretty like
It's so
intensive.
crazy.
So there's obviously we have like a whole product development team, and then beyond that we have our operations who kind of handles that whole project
Creating that,
management.
yeah.
That whole project management between a vendor, approving proofs, going forward, approving samples, putting in POs, making sure that we're hitting our release dates. over the years, and one thing we firmly believe in is we'll adapt to numbers and adjust as needed. We initially had one release a month, right? Actually, we had one release a quarter. That's how we started, right? One release a quarter. Then we moved to one release a month. Then we moved to two releases a month, 3 releases a month. Then we kind of transitioned to subscription releases, right? And we did that as long as we're getting transactions and we're not holding on to excess inventory.
Right.
As the years have gone on, and we have.
I mean, I'm doing 50 a month.
Yeah. So we have 5 subscriptions right now.
Don't you have aren't you backlogged in your warehouse with like old inventory?
So we have inventory, no question, absolutely.
Because
that's
you're
inventory
just always
risk.
introducing new products.
So that inventory risk is something very real.
Right.
Something we're trying to get more sophisticated about.
Okay.
As we kind of transition out, that's something it's a growing process.
Right.
And as a operator, you can't learn everything to the most minute detail.
Now, yeah.
But I'll try my best, right? So there's so many facets to this, right? And our team, our leadership team specifically, we came in, beside myself, we're all, and I guess someone else who joined our leadership team, and our warehouse manager, who's now part of Conversations, but the rest of us came in with different backgrounds, right? I guess I came in with the business background with my MBA and kind of having some kind of consulting experience, but other people were actually crafters. So everything, meaning they were crafters and they had a business management degree, crafters and a journalist degree, crafter and mechanical engineering degree. So
Crafters first.
Not crafters first, but they had that crafting background. So I think that gave us an edge anytime we were developing products. So it was always getting QA'd by that team.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, you have to have the right talent. You have to have the right type of people in your realm to make it work. Like it's not just, it's got to be a combination of both, right? Like you can have the technical experience, but then you also need the, like this is a creative company.
Absolutely.
To be producing 50 new products every month,
that's wild,
insane.
Man. That's crazy.
Like that's not just designing and releasing.
No,
right?
that's
like,
design,
that's like manufacturing and launching and enabling people to be able to buy it, right?
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, you get that. You get that. In terms
crazy.
of putting up the PDPs, project listings, and but what I was trying to go with that was, as we've seen this year, and we're like seeing, as inventory has moved differently and different patterns, we're adjusting, right?
Okay.
So we're like, all right. So when we had the 5 subscriptions, we had 5 different release dates for that.
Okay.
And you can imagine every release has its own marketing effort.
Yes.
Right. And as a result of that, it was getting diluted. Right. So you had not as people were like, I'm going crazy. Even our partners were like, you guys always have so much coming out. It's hard for us to keep up. Right. So as we look into 2023, and we've already kind of adjusted, is we're actually consolidating some of those releases, right? And pushing the existing releases in a way that gives those products and designs more focus.
Okay.
Right?
The intention.
The intention to kind of move it, because we're getting, talking about excess inventory is very real.
Yeah.
Right? End of the day, it's not like Uncle Sam's going to be like, I can't pay taxes with that inventory.
Yeah, what do you do with that? Do you just give it away for free?
No, we've done many things through the years.
Okay.
We've done.
I've never seen some free samples in my inbox.
We don't give it. We don't give it for free. Okay. That's not part of our strategy.
Right.
So we do different kits, different kitting options, different discounts,
like
different
packages, stuff like that.
Yeah, different ways of putting it together, different sorts of inspiration.
Different.
Yep. We have ALTERNEW Academy, which is a learning management system that we launched many years ago. I was trying to go into that. That was when we hired our operations director, when we didn't really need a hire. But what she mentioned, she's like, I'm interested in your company. And this was like 2015, I want to say.
Oh, wow. This is early.
Early. And she was just like, I'm interested in doing something with you guys. And we set up an interview, and we said, all right, let's talk. Tell us, she sent out her resume, and there was no need for us to have her. But then she mentioned that she had done a learning management system.
Okay.
And I was like, how would you be interested in? So we met with her. Tasneem and I met with her virtually. She was in California.
Okay.
And we're like, hey, we met with her. We left, and we're like, she's really good, but we're not really sure what she would do for us.
Yeah.
But she did mention that she did this learning management system before.
Yeah.
So we approached her and said, hey, would you mind launching ALTERNEW Academy? Which would be Altenew's version of doing classes. And she was like, yeah, sure. And She did, and then eventually she became like an operations lead and then operations
That's
director,
awesome.
and now she has a team of, I don't know, 7 people. That
Nice.
reports up to her.
So I'm assuming that whole Altenew Academy is like a pretty big part of what you guys do.
That also has gone through phases.
Okay.
It's something that we do consistently, and it's something that's there as a resource. We actually launched a whole certification process through that. It's called Altenew Certification Education.
Yeah.
And basically, it gives crafters who want to develop their skills and techniques a curriculum of that they can take classes, and they get designer feedback on their projects, and eventually they become an Altenew educator, and that allows them to do workshops. We market their workshops.
Wow! So they can now start making some money.
Exactly. And that was the idea.
That's
Correct.
That's pretty awesome.
Is that different than is that different from, let's say, some sort of like affiliate kind of thing?
It is. It is.
Okay.
It is.
Okay,
Yeah. So we have affiliates as well.
Okay.
Yep. So people, obviously send traffic to our website, and there's a transaction. They'll get a
And the
commission.
X%. Right.
Yeah. Just like any type of affiliate program. So that's something that's been interesting. I mean, Altenew Academy. I mean, even our marketing director. She had actually this was also 2015. She had reached out to us and said, "Hey, can I help you with social media?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess."
I mean, you got everyone reaching out to you. What's going on with this?
He doesn't need to put out job posts, go through the interview process.
I mean, our OG crew, absolutely, it was organic.
That's super cool.
And it's been awesome that we're still together, right?
Meaning, I mean, that's the best part.
Right? So the OG, now she has a team of, I think, like 13, 14 people reporting up to her.
Wow. So crazy.
All right? So it's awesome. And God willing,
What's her
name? May Park.
Shout out May.
Yeah.
Shout out May.
Shout out May. Shout out Nicole.
Nicole's the operations director.
Got it. Yeah. So, they've been crucial to our growth. No question about it.
Sounds like you have you have a pretty loyal, dedicated team, like from like day ones. Almost.
I think our OG crowd, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, no question about it. But as you scale, when you get to the 20 mark, 25 mark, 30 mark, you'll go through different levels. And, there are definitely retention issues. And it's a wake-up call to us as well to kind of improve our benefits program.
Checks and balances.
Right? So, we didn't have we made a HR, as I told you before, we made an HR manager hire just recently, like 8 years into this.
Yeah.
Well, just to kind of see like how does it help?
Yep.
It's not contributing necessarily to top line, but to help manage our team,
morale and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So,
I got a little tip for you.
Sure.
I don't know if you've thought about this. If you haven't, and you're gonna implement this, I'm coming for royalties. But here it is.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh God.
No, obviously not. But have you ever thought about like a subscription model?
Yeah.
You guys have one?
So are you? I don't know if you're listening to what I'm saying. So we have 5.
I mean, what Altenew Academy is a subscription model?
What were you saying before? You had 5 subscriptions.
Jack's paying attention. I appreciate you.
Oh, I didn't know what you meant by that.
So Saj kind of spaces.
Now he's like toning it down, because it's getting too much.
So I didn't know what he meant by subscriptions. What do you mean? Do you know what I mean when I say
royalties on something he's doing already?
No.
I love that idea, but I want to get a piece of that action.
No, hold on. Do you know what I mean? Like monthly Netflix type subscriptions. You have that already?
Absolutely.
That people are guaranteed like buying?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that's a big part of your.
Actually, now it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a big chunk of what we do.
I thought I had something.
I love the idea though. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question here. So, as people and our listeners have, kind of gone through what we spoke about so far. I mean, like Saj had mentioned before, I mean, you've gone from basement investing, $5K, and now you mentioned you're almost at that 8-figure mark, 8 years later, right? Which is incredible.
So hopefully keep it up. Keep it up. Yeah.
Oh, you will. You will.
God willing.
What do you think are some, tips, tricks, things that, you wish you knew on month 6, on year 1, year 2, that, for someone listening here that, might want to get into this sort of e-commerce space, they can get some value out of? What do you think are some tips and tricks?
I would say, even at that point, I'm all about kind of just personal growth. So I think it sounds like you guys are as well, which is awesome.
You have to be.
Yeah. Fail quickly. I would say fail quickly, right? So I think a lot of times we kind of hang around ideas and kind of think about it and like say, hey, am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? Let me do some more research.
Yep.
I think research is useful, but
You gotta execute.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah. So something that we try to execute ourselves. It's a lesson to ourselves. Oh, well, we talked about, I remember, I'll tell you a failure story here, but it's still there. So remember, we wanted to do some in-house production. Okay. In-house manufacturing, basically. And
Okay, so I guess to clarify, right, what you mean by that is you design the product and then you make it from scratch.
exactly.
in-house.
We do it. We
Okay.
do it as well.
Okay.
And specifically in the category of decals. Okay.
Okay.
So we talked about it for a couple of years. We're like, yeah, we really want to own the whole life cycle, right, of the product production,
Start
right,
to
from
finish.
from beginning to end, and then we talked about it, and it was always something that we would talk about, and the problem with that was we wouldn't do something else because I was like, oh, when we get time, we're gonna do that, right? Okay, and so it would kind of something we just kept on talking about, and then eventually we actually pulled the trigger, bought this like $25,000-$30,000 printer, got some training on it, and trained our in-house team on how to do it from a graphic designer perspective, from actually producing it, printing it, cutting it, and selling it. But it was a dismal failure, right, in terms of sales. Meaning it didn't. We thought our designs were awesome, which we believe they are, but I guess our price point wasn't the best.
Okay.
And we still haven't really. I mean, it's still there barely. We've sunset that category as general.
You have the machine still?
We sell the machine.
Oh, you
do?
You have the machine. You
we
sold
still
it.
have the machine.
This is the big machine that I saw in 2016
Yep,
in that
yep,
room with
yep.
the decal and
That's
the
right.
vinyl.
That's right.
This
Yeah,
thing is
they're-
like the size of this
Well,
room.
I know what he's talking about because when many moons ago I used to work for a place that did like vape juice and CBD stuff, and we used to create custom ones. So we had a gigantic label maker,
Same
which
idea.
is
Yeah.
you
use your
the
own
graphic
vinyl.
design. You put it on, and
That's
then
right.
you gotta cut it, make sure the spacing's right, that
Correct.
the the edges are right, it's cut correctly.
These are expensive machines.
Absolutely.
I mean,
So you still have it? Do you
for
have
quality,
any use for it?
100%.
So in our retreat, we printed out some decals talking like 2020.
nice.
So it's not helping
troll.
with it never blew up like we hoped it would.
Okay.
We thought it would be awesome and everyone would just love it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, God, when we did that investment, it wasn't that big a deal. Like, obviously, the investment we couldn't do at the beginning, right? And it wasn't. But now we're not limited by that anymore, right? We're not thinking, oh, I need to do decal, right? Because we're done. We're past that.
Yeah.
So now we're on to something else. So that's, I would say, lesson one is that we shouldn't waste time too much about like pondering what that next step is. I'd imagine you'd want to take risks depending on what you have, right?
Okay.
Depending on your skill set, depending on what you can bank on versus just taking random risks.
Right.
Yeah.
Calculated.
Absolutely. So that would be my number one tip. Beyond that, I attended this this conference, this leadership conference last week. John Maxwell. He's
nice.
a leadership guru.
Big John Maxwell guy.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
You should IMC, which is like you become this coach or something.
Okay.
When was
and
this?
It was last week.
nice.
Last week in Orlando.
Wait, this is the one in Florida?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I mean, my main goal of that program was to kind of help, first of all, grow myself as a leader, and hopefully help my leadership team become stronger. But one thing he said that kind of stuck with me was like a lot of people would come up to him and say, "How do I do what you do?" Right? Because they're like inspired. Because he's very inspirational. If you know John,
Yeah,
he's very inspirational, and he's like 75, but he's still leading this.
I mean,
huge
he's still doing his thing,
writing
man.
books.
He goes, yeah.
He's very inspirational. He's very charismatic, right?
Yeah.
So he's a natural leader, and he's also like always learning. He's like, one of the things he says is, my favorite book is the book I'm writing, right?
Yeah.
So so he's always got that potential. People are gonna always buy his stuff.
awesome.
But beyond that, what he said was when people come up to him and ask him, "How do I do what you do?" And he's like, "It's not necessarily what I'm doing right now. It's what I did before that brings me to this. So are you willing to do my dids to do what I'm doing now?" Right? And that was kind of interesting. He's like, because it's easy to see people and say, "Wow, I want to do what he does."
Yeah, that's the result of
of the work that you don't see.
Yeah.
Right. Of the dids that he did, the years that he put into, the years he kept on training, all the documenting, all the stories that he's doing. And for me, that's inspiration to kind of say, okay, I mean, I guess, what are my dids? What am I going to do to kind of get to where I'm trying to get to?
I mean, that's like one of the most famous, I guess I would say most famous, but a quote that's out there where it's like, it took me 8 years to become an overnight success. It took me 3
That's
years,
right.
whatever
That's
it is,
right.
Wow. Okay, that's
So
super
this
cool.
was a 1 day, 2 day conference.
It was actually a 3-day.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say normally those things are like 3
Yeah.
days,
So
Friday,
this is
Saturday,
non-
Sunday kind of stuff.
So he went to Florida. I thought this was Altenew related. I didn't know this was a John
No,
Maxwell.
no.
I mean,
it
kind
was-
of is, but like it's also
Yeah,
for
no,
personal
But you don't
reasons.
do these anymore.
Huh?
You don't do these anymore.
Which one?
Like these conferences, these leadership conferences. Just
So
ran.
I try to, you know.
Okay.
Kinda,
It's
Oh, it's
been a
definitely like a
while.
pretty big commitment, though.
it
you know,
is.
if you
You
think
got to
about
put
it.
away 3 days. You could do it virtually. You could do it on site, right?
Yeah, it's virtually ain't the same. Though. I mean,
Exactly.
that's
So
the
I was like,
reality.
I know that if I go virtually, work will catch up to me, and I will jump to meetings, and I will,
Yeah, that's
not
it. You're done.
put myself out of the office calendar.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was productive. I still have to kind of put my notes together. Still have to kind of share it with the team. And it's not like you can read 100 books, you can read 50 books, but if you don't apply it,
Yeah.
what's the
It
point?
means nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
So my hope is, we can apply, and continue kind of growing myself
Wow,
and the team.
that's
Love
awesome.
that. I mean, it's awesome that obviously through years of success and growth at Altenew, you're still kind of seeking ways to better yourself, and improve on your own methods and implement that within your team, which is super inspiring. I think it's pretty cool. I got another tip for you.
If you say the royalty word, we're
royalties
gonna,
if you use it.
Let's hear
Okay.
it. Let's hear it, man.
How about like some sort of like a teaching mechanism? We have like a course.
This
based
has to be a
system.
joke. Shut up. Shut up, bro. Shut up.
Like, what about like Alternate Academy?
Yeah, right. Man, again. But I think I guess like $5,000 is what you started with, right?
Okay.
But sure, like so when I asked initial fund, right? That was the start initial fund. But did you have to keep putting money in?
No, so retained earnings took care of the rest.
That's insane.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so crazy. So whatever you made from that, you kept pouring it back.
Now-
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
never had to.
So
put
at
another
that
dime?
point in our life, more from a life perspective, I was doing healthcare technology consulting. So our life was being taken care of by my income.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So we had the luxury at that point
To do
where
that.
that business we didn't need it to survive.
Yeah.
Right. So livelihood was being taken care of by my consulting income, and so we just kept putting everything back into the company.
So this
Now-
is. Yeah. Sorry.
I was gonna say what. So now the 5K. I mean, when you first started, what was that allocated to? Like a site, products, like
Mostly inventory.
wow.
Mostly inventory. Yep. So we were so our e-commerce software is Shopify.
Okay.
So at that point we were at the
I mean, you
don't
can
know,
do
what is
Shopify for almost close to nothing.
nothing.
So
Yeah, it might have
okay.
been like $40 a month, $100 a month. Now we're
Okay.
paying like I think $2,000 or $3,000 a month, but that's
Yeah.
a different thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that mostly it was that and inventory.
What was your first product?
It was painted flowers. I think
Painted
it was
flowers?
a stamp set. It was a stamp set.
Oh, right. You said stamps before. Okay.
That's right. That was the category. That was
Okay.
the category.
Are you involved in? I kind of know the answer to this, but like, are you involved in the creative process? Like in terms of
No.
like the action, like you don't care
no.
about the
He
final.
goes,
No. So
No,
it's funny.
not for me.
He's a
It's
business
not-
guy.
It's,
He's
it's
the
not as
business guy.
as much. I try to stay in my lane. Right.
Okay, fair. I like that.
It doesn't. Now, if it's like a, description or a title, I'm contributing ideas, right? But if it's an aesthetic, I'll definitely lean on Tasneem or the rest of the team.
Yeah.
I mean,
right?
do you like? Is there some sort of creative juices flowing when you see something, or like no, you're just like I don't.
So you can be a maker in anything, right? Creative doesn't just mean artists, right, or drawing something.
Yeah.
I think all of us are makers, right? All of us are creators, right? The question is, what's the space that you're
Right.
in?
What do we
right?
create? Okay,
And
I like it.
our tagline is "Craft your life." Okay.
Craft your life.
Craft your life. That's our slogan. We
Yeah.
actually got a trademark.
You got a trademark on that?
Yeah, we
Just
do.
make sure.
Yeah,
you know,
we,
what this
we
is.
actually when we did, yeah. When we filed for it, someone else had already filed for it.
No.
But we had started using it a couple of years before them, and we had documentation, like
Oh, wow.
emails and differences. So we actually reached out to that person who had filed and said, "You can't file this," because it wasn't like granted yet, or there was like an in between.
Okay.
And then they took theirs down, and we got our trade.
So I have a question
Wow.
about that. Like, did you because when you said that kind of just seems like you kind of just like strong on them because like
no,
doesn't
they were
really-
nice. We were nice. I mean,
Oh, okay.
Obviously, we had a lawyer.
Well, but they could have just continued. No.
They could have, but I mean, I don't think our space in the crafting ecosystem is typically kind. And
Okay, that's
same
good.
people,
Well, they're also a crafting company.
They were in the space.
Okay.
They were like loosely they were in the space, absolutely.
Okay.
But not quite in the same way we were. And they were nice about it. They're like, yeah, we didn't know. Basically, we didn't see that you were using it. That was
easy as pie.
Yeah.
Wow. Very good.
So I was actually where I was going with that in terms of craft your life was, craft your life means something to me, even as a non-crafter.
Okay.
Right? It's more about how are you being intentional about living your life.
Yeah.
How are you kind of designing what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yep.
How are you interacting with different people? Are you growing from different aspects of what's going on? And I think all of us go through ups and downs. And,
Yeah, for sure.
Some days you're more productive than others. And it's kind of going back to your core of what makes you tick.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, I think in terms of the creative juices, I think there's different things that we can always structure in our organization. How we do things. How do we do project management of a certain workflow? And that's creating and designing a workflow, not necessarily an artistic expression, but is also a creative expression in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Well put. I think I guess what's next? Like what's next for Altenew? What's the or your own personal goals, right?
Sure.
Since I've known you, I guess it's been you've always been he's one of the hardest working people I know, and this guy doesn't pause. He doesn't really have a crazy fun, exciting life. He's got a family. He's got a very beautiful family, but
sure.
I just think that he can have a little bit more fun,
Yeah, no doubt.
But he's nonstop hustle, grind kind of guy. So what's next? What are these points that he's going for?
What's interesting on the point for Altenew, we've kind of invested. I mentioned a patent that we received on a tool that we're trying to kind of source and manufacture, kind of create a mold. We have this new line of inks. I don't believe most of the listeners here are typically in the crafting space, but if they are in the crafting space, we have this new line of inks coming up October time frame. It's like an awesome mold that we designed ourselves. I think we're exciting. It's a circular lid. The stamp wheel is another product that we kind of give a little glimpse of at our last trade show, which we're excited about. That should be coming in 2023. And from a design perspective, we're always innovating, and our team will kind of keep on showcasing those types of designs and techniques on an ongoing basis. Personally, we talk about passive investing. That's something I'm trying to get better at.
Okay.
In terms of, we've done a couple of small real estate deals, but want to be stronger on that. It's interesting. So when I was at this conference last week, something every day on my calendar, it says 8:30 it'll show up. It's study investing. Right. But I kind of ignore it now, but it keeps on showing up. Right.
Yeah.
Because I know that's important to me,
yeah.
But I'm going to do it one of these days. So that's something I want to get stronger at, right?
Okay.
In terms of investing. That's something I haven't been stronger at. And what that means, one thing that I mentioned in the conference guy, when I was talking to some guy, because a lot of the people that went to that conference are coming as coaches or want to grow into being life coaches or personal growth coaches. So we had this mock thing with one of my colleagues, basically, who was in the table, and he was like, maybe you haven't done it because you haven't tied it to what's important to you. Right? Meaning, because if you tied it to leaving a legacy for your family,
right.
If you tie it to growing, giving something for your family, maybe you're going to be more strict about it
to do it,
and maybe you'll actually do it rather than making $5 more, right? Which is what it is right now, right? And I think tying it back to my core system is something I want to do. I haven't done a vision board, some of those kind of things that
you have a vision board.
I don't. I've been in enough. I've listened to enough personal growth to kind of see it, but I haven't done it.
All these years, you've never had it.
I haven't.
It's definitely something as you're first doing it that seems a little tacky and weird, but
sure.
As you start to put it up, it's for me, I have one. It's good to kind of look at every day.
Yeah, it's a good way to keep a kind of a reminder.
A true north, almost.
Yeah, yep. Kind of like a navigator, in case you forgot, because life gets crazy, hectic, messy. But sometimes it's good to some people go crazy with it, where we were joking about it, with the motivation sign, and people write weird things on their mirrors when they wash their face.
People go crazy.
Yeah, but
whatever you need to do though,
that's right.
Whatever you need to do to get it done.
For us, for me personally, and my family, it's serving God is kind of number one, and keeping that centered, and then growing around that, and it's serving people around us.
Yeah.
But I guess that's where I think the whole investing sometimes, in my faith tradition, investing is actually is important.
Yeah.
And I guess seeing it in those terms and keeping money in the bank is actually frowned upon, right? Just keeping cash is not what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
The idea is you're supposed to put it into the general ecosystem so that people can kind of benefit or not, and that's the risk you need to take.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's something I'm working on, and I want to become better at.
Awesome.
How's that ETH doing?
Yeah, it's all right. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what
You
it
bought
is.
it at like 4K? What happened?
I didn't time that correctly. That's for sure.
I mean, buy more now. You can average it out. a little
You
bit.
should have been averaging it out, that's for sure, because ETH is about to pick up again because they're going through this technical merge thing. We just talked about it.
Sure.
And Jack brings up cryptocurrency every
I know.
episode. He's
I
a
saw
big,
that
like,
NFTs
crypto
this
NFT
thing.
guy.
This
Yeah,
thing,
he loves.
yeah.
No, it's
That's
not.
his
I mean,
bet.
this is like a direct correlation. I felt
Well,
like.
now
Yeah,
NFTs are
absolutely.
part of
only,
like our.
only when it like obviously makes sense. I'm
I
just
hear you.
throwing it out there.
Well, it doesn't apply.
He's
to
got like a checklist. I got it.
Did they say art? Did they say customer? Okay.
Did you ask Dr. Lin about NFTs?
Yeah. Oh, wait. No. Who?
Dr. Lin.
No.
So
No. Why would I do that,
we had
man?
this gentleman. He's this scientist. I don't know if you watched the APR episode. Yeah, if you brought up NFT with him, that'd be like.
No, I would never. Only do it when it like applies.
Well, no, right now it's
obviously.
part of our business at Final View Productions. We've actually adopted that with cryptocurrency. So this is very much our lives right now.
Absolutely, no.
Like we're actually.
I love what you guys do. I love what you guys put out on Venture Hustles. A lot of inspiration. So thanks for that.
No, thank you. Thank you
we
for
appreciate that very much so, man. Very much so. I think as we kind of start to wrap up here, I know you kind of gave some tips before. Anything else you think that you'd want to kind of leave, the listeners here?
No, I think having good companionship, a good people that you can rely on, is important.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think reminders like that keep us moving in socially, financially,
Yep.
in different ways, right? So a bunch of my college buddies, we still keep in touch. We get together pretty often, or at least once a year. That's pretty grounding because kind of when we were younger, and it's kind of doesn't have that the details of as we kind of grow into our careers.
Yeah.
Having family or people you trust, I think those are things that are helpful. And if someone is not positive around you, maybe it's time to kind of adjust around that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. But trust in for me, trust in God. Want the best for others.
Yes.
No matter what state you're in, are things that I try to live by. And I guess hopefully people are kind of living by that as well, because I think they'll just be more productive and
Be a better world.
Absolutely.
And he's also into like fitness a little bit. Right, you want to talk about that? Yeah.
Not really.
No.
I mean, I'm happy to talk about it.
You go on a jog almost every day.
No, I mean that's a journey.
Every
Fitness
morning.
has been a challenge for me. Over the years.
Yeah.
It's something. It's definitely important to me. No question about it.
Is it though?
Is it? I would say. I've gone through a bit where, I try to work out every day a little bit. Or now last month I've been pretty good. 6 days I'd say.
Nice.
And even if it's like 20 minutes. Whatever.
Consistent.
And I think,
You're striving for consistency.
There's different groups that I'm part of that I try to like motivate and also inspire myself. More than anything, it's actually inspiration for myself.
Good.
So
That's
once I finish the workout, whatever it is, I send it to the group, and I'm trying to be consistent on it, right? So even
An
with
accountability partner kind of thing? Okay.
Yeah, but no one. The guide, I think the inspiration of the group was that we would inspire and motivate each other. But I'm still waiting for that. It's gonna happen.
sounds like a great group to be a part of.
Yeah. But no, I've watched things on this, and I'm trying it. So I'm in. I've gone through phases where I've been in better shape than not.
Right.
And I think one thing I was kind of listening to recently was talking about like, don't do like 3 to 5 times a week or something, because then you have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Wait,
Right.
what?
Yeah. So don't try to like say, oh, I'm going to work out, because then you have to say I'm going to work out Monday or Wednesday or Friday or this day.
So what's the trick?
Who'd you hear that from? Do you remember?
I don't, but I'll get back to you if I can.
That sounds like someone named James Clear. He wrote Atomic Habits.
Sure.
Definitely highly recommend.
Yeah.
Because he he's taught me. I've read like a lot of his work, and like he's on a bunch of podcasts, all these different things, and like he's a master of about like building habits. And what you're saying is one of the first things that he goes over is because like if you don't do it, then you start to feel guilty, and then when you do it, it's just like
So I've actually read Atomic Habits as well, and maybe it's but this particular was from like a physiologist.
Okay, got it.
But I mean, you're right. He does mention this as well,
So it's a similar concept.
and definitely resonates.
Yes.
Definitely resonates with what the idea was. Don't just do it every day, whatever, no matter small. So you're not like debating the point, right? Like, oh, am I going to work out today or not? So every day you do it. So if it's the beginning of the day, end of the day, you just do it.
What happens if you don't do it?
Nothing. It's up to you, bud.
All right.
You know, that's my point, right?
Do you penalize yourself?
No. I don't. Because I mean, here's the thing. It's like, and even for me, like recently, right? I'm like, it's about like thinking further out, right? Because it's so easy to think about what I'm trying to get done in a month or in 3 months or 6 months. So I don't know if you guys have heard of Benjamin Hardy. I'm a fan. He does a lot of psychological about personal growth. Okay. He's written a book, The Gap and the Gain. He's written another book that I'm reading right now is Be Your Future Self.
Ooh, okay. Sounds like a good title.
Oh yeah, he's actually. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of him. And the Gap in the Gain, just for a second, just as a tidbit, it talks about focusing on your gains rather than your gaps. And the whole idea of the gains are looking at yourself and where you were and where you are right now, rather than artificial paradigms of other people's gauge of success. And that's the gap, right? Of like, oh, this is where I wanted to, or even what you wanted to be. And then you're like, oh, this is the gap that I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then that kind of goes through the cycle of, like, I think you just mentioned it in terms of negativity, is like, oh, I'm in the gap or I'm in the gain, right? So and it keeps on making you kind of go. If you're always thinking in the gap, you're kind of hurting yourself mentally, right? So the idea is focus on the gain each day so that you can kind of keep moving forward, right? And then the idea of the next book that he just wrote what I'm reading right now is Be Your Future Self, meaning, and the idea there is more about thinking about 20 years from now, okay? And you're about to hang out with, you think about, what would I think about right now 20 years from now? So, for example, you see your kids, you come home from a long day's worth of work, you're tired. You're like, I just want to go to rest. But 20 years from now, if that guy could come back here and hang out with those kids, he would treasure that moment. Right? Right? So he'd be like, wow, I'm enjoying this. I'm having so much fun, and I want to get it. So the idea is be that person right now. Right?
It's nice, like from a perspective standpoint, to kind of keep you in line. It sounds like, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I actually got. He has this, Benjamin Hardy has this like program, and he's like, hey, it's a good marketing trick. I mean, or a good marketing plan, I guess. He was like, buy 25 books and be part of this program. And he got me on it. And it has like it's a 4-month program where you kind of interact with other people who are trying to be in that, that self of being your future self. So anyhow, those are some of the things that come to mind from recent thinkings, and, you know, the tips and tricks. One thing I'll leave you with John Maxwell has said, and I want to share this with my team. He said that you can tell your story, right? So that's very empowering, right? Because no one else can tell that story, right? So anyone and everyone has their own uniqueness, has their own experiences, their own lessons learned, and we can absolutely learn from everybody. And something that's, you know, something that I want to carry forward. And even if sometimes you're like, can I really learn something? Yeah, you can, if you're in that right mindset, and absolutely also for yourself. And you can contribute, you can give back. Even if you have those, you know, voices kind of saying, hey, don't, you can't do it. You're like, what can you possibly give to this discussion? No, you can, right? And in your first, you know, attempt, I think another quote that came to your first attempt is never going to be the best. Right. And I love that. Right. So it's like, oh, it's my first draft. So I'm going to try again.
That's why it's the first.
That's right. Exactly.
Wow. Well, Nabil, I really appreciate you coming down, man. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you and kind of chatting with you. So I guess before we formally wrap up, let's kind of go over your site.
Anything
social media
specific
handles
you want to highlight?
So the site is www.
Altenew, ALTENEW.com.
Okay. Instagram at
Altenew LLC.
Okay, perfect.
Anything in specific that's I don't know, that's like new, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, something that's coming up, I guess this is like a sneak peek for, I don't think we made a public announcement about this. Artistry by Altenew is being launched end of this month, actually. But the actual products will come. It's a soft launch end of this month. It'll be kind of geared towards artists rather than paper crafters.
Yep.
Nice.
A little bit of complementary market that we're trying to kind of get into.
NFTs.
Yeah. Maybe NFTs. But yeah, no. Appreciate you guys.
For sure.
I like what you guys are doing, trying to inspire and trying to give back to the community.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure.
No, it's our pleasure. Thank you so much for making the time for this. I think this is you're the first guest of his kind, on the Venture Hustle podcast.
Anytime, Saj.
And no, for sure.
Appreciate it.
Jack, good to meet you as well, man.
Absolutely. So I guess with that said, to everyone listening, we appreciate you guys. You can always find us on YouTube, Spotify. YouTube Shorts have now been doing super well for us now.
Yeah, we've only launched 10 days.
Couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
if
2
that.
weeks. Yeah, it's been doing decent.
Yeah. TikTok, Instagram, and Apple Podcasts. I mean, the list goes on. So as always, no matter where you are, enjoy the day or night, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, venture hustles, life is really what you make it. Building up your brand is whatever you create it. Really ain't no limit. You just gotta love it. Working day and night, it's all about the venture hustle. Hey, venture hustles. Time to take it to the next level. Let's go.